So it took me a while to have the question. I was following your instructions, and then all of a sudden it came very clearly, and the question was, what is God?
Mm. And
the what seemed very important. I was trying to change it to where, but it was definitely what.
What was the second thing? What is God? Then you said what?
The what seemed quite important in the question.
Mm-hmm. So this is your contemplations.
It was a bit of a surprise when the question came. I wasn't aware of contemplating that in my day-to-day life, but perhaps it does relate to my questions. I think the answer is God is everything, and I think I seek for it in different places, outside, externally, probably.
Everything. So keep going, because if you've got the answer, that's not quite the question, is it?
I think I do different things like Sanskrit chanting and dancing and this, that and the other to feel God. So how do I feel God? All
What's
the time.
The first thing, Sanskrit? What?
Chanting, like mantra chanting, all these things to put me in contact with God. How can I be in contact with God? Always.
You think you have to do something?
It seems that way, yeah.
You don't really, do you?
Really. But I feel more in contact when I am doing something like that. I don't feel it so strongly.
Well, that's good then, isn't it?
Yeah. Maybe.
So if God's everything, are you God?
Yeah.
So it's the question tantamount to how can you be in touch with yourself?
Yeah, perhaps.
Are you?
Well, I guess I can't be completely, otherwise I wouldn't have the question.
So what came up in the beginning of our gathering here with your hands and the insights into what was happening?
It was here and here. I've been having a bit of earache, which is unusual. It's not something that I normally have. And then the throat, which is a repeated kind of thing for me. And the back. The back felt something to do with like energy flow, like a bit of pain in the mid-back. Yeah. Maybe it's being more in touch with the body, and rather than trying to get out of the body, I suppose. I don't know, kind of get out of the mind, get out of the body, like in these, chanting or dancing, it's sort of, I don't know, letting go of the body in a way, but maybe it's, I don't really pay attention. If I'd get little pains or whatever, I don't really ever pay any attention to physical stuff very much, and it tends to go away. So I guess they've always.
So what do you think of one of these things, the body's
would I think of them?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Well, you said I don't pay it very much attention.
Well, I mean,
Goes
I don't
away.
pay symptoms very much attention,
Right.
and they tend to go.
What's your
so-
relationship to the physical form, this one that you inhabit?
Hmm. Maybe I just kind of use it a bit and don't particularly take care of it. I don't pay it much attention.
Do you think maybe you should?
Probably.
I think maybe you should.
Mhm.
Don't you?
Mhm. Yeah.
So what could you do to bring that about? A more attentive relationship to the physical form?
Well, I think exercise. I eat really well, I eat healthily, but I could definitely exercise more. And rest actually as well. I don't take note if I'm tired, I just keep going.
Did you learn that the physical body was just functional or something? It's a practical thing.
Maybe.
Somewhere in the early life, like Peter's, adaptation, that his needs wouldn't be heard anyway, so why say it?
Yeah, possibly.
What do you do?
I'm a trainee music therapist. And I do a few bits of work kind of around that.
What is God? If God's everything, then also this form.
Mhm. Yeah.
All of it.
Mhm.
You're involved in a spiritual path of transcendence, aren't you? Sanskrit chanting and whatnot, and dancing and music, and all of this. That's one of the forms that spiritual path has taken in the great tradition of humankind. Explore and understand the mystery. It's only one. It doesn't suit you, oddly enough.
It doesn't.
It doesn't seem to suit you, because you have a compromised relationship with the physical, you see. Which implies you have to get back to the physical, not transcend what you haven't already accepted, you see. If the transcendence was going to work, then you have to accept what it is you're transcending. You have to have inhabited it in order to go further. That's the nature of spiritual path. You don't sort of avoid it, so the body, go this way.
Yeah, actually it's interesting you say that, because through the music therapy training I've been doing psychotherapy, but actually at a more fundamental level, I guess, is the body as well.
Yeah. Well, I suggest, foundation, building, roof, sky, just basic procedures, really. You can't get out of it that easily. You what do you do? Have a body or are a body, or what do you think?
How?
Have, Yeah, there's the first mistake, isn't it? Yeah. The old "I have a body" game. See the distance.
Yeah.
Take it to the charity shop or something. I mean, it's just it's not really how it is it?
Yeah. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
What about bowing?
What about bowing?
Frustrations.
Mm-hmm.
Never done it.
Well, I have done.
Have you?
Yeah, a little bit. Not very much. I stayed at a Krishna community for a while.
Oh.
And that was part of the kind of.
How did you take to the bowing?
Not so well. Yeah.
Maybe you don't like Krishna or something, but do it in the privacy of your own, home.
Yeah. Okay.
Ali.
Bowing to who? What would I be bowing to?
You've already said God's everything. It's a way of your physical body taking on the form of devotion.
Mm-hmm.
Appeal?
Okay. Mm.
Through the physical body, so that you realise the physical body as God.
Mm.
You realise it as a divine form.
Mm. Yeah.
You see, that's challenging. It's not that you have it, not that you are it, not that any of these things.
Mm.
It is.
Mm.
Physical form is divine.
Mm. Yeah.
We're a bit indoctrinated into the spiritual paths of transcendence, because ancient Vedas was the first stab at it in recorded history, so it's quite appealing and all of that, but you can't transcend before you've inhabited and accepted, understood.
Yeah.
It's a vehicle for transcendence, if you will, but not by rejecting it. And the thing about bowing is that it's incredibly challenging. I mean, even this one's challenging. Like a lot of people were laughing about that one. So even that one's very difficult.
I quite like that
just a
posture.
mini
Though.
bow. What?
I quite like that posture.
You
I quite like, yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
Well, it's a mini bow, but a full bodily prostration. Ritually, is an attitude. It's like when you in Hatha Yoga or something, and when you sit in this balanced way and the legs over and what have you. There's it's liable to still the mind. It's like it all helps. Makes you aware of breathing and whatnot, pranic breath and so forth. And if you're lying face down on the floor, full prostration, it's liable to incite feelings of devotion, that form, this path, not this one.
Okay, I will do that.
Got to get your path right. I mean, your spiritual character is clear. It's the way of service. Therefore, you must be selfish to the hilt in order to be any good at it. Odd, isn't it? It's the paradox of the spiritual. The paradox of spiritual life is do the other thing, to get it right. So there's really three ways, right? There's service, there's devotion. What's the other one? The Gnana Yoga, the way of wisdom, the way of knowledge. The mental, physical, and active, karmic. These are traditionally and still is the case. The three spiritual personalities. And yours is?
I think it is devotion. Yeah.
And you've been trying for transcendence. It's okay, but it's just like, we look in the mirror and it turns out we're 5'1" or something, and you see, do you know what I mean? And, we're like that. We haven't got blonde hair. We do. It's just it's like certain things you accept in the physical and just in the relative world, and also in the spiritual world. Certain things you come to accept, but nobody necessarily faces you with these things. That there's a spiritual personality, and that's really vital if you have a psychospiritual journey that you're on, because you see these other guys chanting Sanskrit stuff and dancing and what, I think that's pretty cool. But there's lots of things I think are cool. I can't do them. I shouldn't do them. Let's put it that way.
So, you think I shouldn't do the chanting and the dancing? Do you mean?
I'm afraid I think you shouldn't. Yeah.
Really?
I don't know. Yeah. Did I say that?
But what?
The camera's not on me.
What?
We
Can
don't
be
say
now.
should, but I just yes. What? Because it's great, but and it's not for you. Okay. Oh gosh, you've been doing it for years or so. You're probably ever so good at it. Oh God. Well,
I'm a little bit confused.
well, look at it this way. You know, you let go of it. It will endorse. It will deepen your spiritual practice. There's many spiritual adepts have done this. They didn't dance anymore. They didn't do poetry anymore. They didn't get married anymore. Whatever, these sorts of things. In order to devote themselves to the numinous, the divine source, and whatever. You just do that with this Sanskrit business and the dancing. And it's all right for somebody else who's involved in the business of transcendence. Just so happens that when you were attracted to it, it wasn't in line with your spiritual personality. Okay? What's hard about this?
Well, because I love it. Of all things in the world, they're like the things that I love doing.
I mean, if spiritual path was about doing the things we loved, I mean, all the drunks up the pub would be, wouldn't they? Or watching a movie or whatever. It just so happens it didn't like that. It isn't. You're having a hard time with this.
Yeah.
But it's not about doing things you love. It might be, but it might not. It's not about doing everything that you feel a attraction toward. There's lots of things I feel an attraction towards that have nothing to do with my spiritual life. They're just hedonism or whatever. Doesn't mean I don't do them, by the way. I might do, and I might say that's enough of that, or stop wasting your time, or what do you say?
But would you put music in the same?
Whatever.
Music, like music. Would you?
Well, you don't have to do music from the point of view of transcendence, do you? I mean, Sanskrit chanting and what's the dancing?
Different types, like Kundalini and algorithms.
And what does that do for you, that dancing?
It feels like it sort of frees me up in the body, but also, it feels like it gives a connection.
You never know, there might be a time for it again. When you come round, it may be a case of balancing.